Picture this, a ceiling 8 feet above the ground, standard height, nothing remarkable. Now imagine someone's foot making contact with it. Not a fingertip stretch, not a desperate hand slap, a clean, controlled kick. From a dead stop, no momentum, no run-up, just raw explosion. Los Angeles, 1968. A modest training facility tucked away from the Hollywood spotlight. 20 people gathered, most of them doubters. They'd heard the rumors, the whispers floating through the martial arts underground. Bruce Lee was planning something that contradicted every principle of human biomechanics they understood. At 28 years old, standing just 5'7", he was about to challenge the very concept of physical limitation. The claim seemed absurd on its face. Professional basketball players, genetic anomalies standing 6'8", 6'9", could barely graze an 8-foot marker with their outstretched hands. Olympic high jumpers, after years of technique refinement and a full running approach, might clear a bar at that height. But a martial artist, barefoot, from a standing position, executing a full kick extension? The math didn't work. The physics rejected it. Common sense laughed at it. Yet there he stood, calm as still water, explaining what he was about to attempt. The body is just a machine, he told the assembled witnesses. Most people never learn to operate their machine at full capacity. They accept factory settings and never explore what's actually possible. Let's break down why this should have been impossible. The average human vertical leap measures somewhere between 12 and 18 inches. An athletic individual might reach 2 feet. Professional athletes, the genetic elite who've trained their entire lives, typically max out around 36 inches. The absolute freaks of nature, the ones who make highlight reels, might touch 48 inches. The world record for a pure vertical jump hovers around 63 inches, just over 5 feet. And that's with every possible advantage: tucking the body, pulling the knees high, maximizing the center of mass elevation. But jumping isn't kicking. When you jump for pure height, you compress your body into the most efficient package possible. Kicking requires the opposite, full extension, stretching your body into a vulnerable, elongated position that works against every mechanical advantage you'd normally use. Each inch you extend that leg steals height from your jump. It's like trying to climb a ladder while simultaneously pulling the ladder down beneath you. Consider the geometry. Bruce stood 5'7". The ceiling was 96 inches high. His hip joint, when standing naturally, positioned roughly 3 feet off the ground. His leg length added another 32 inches to that equation. Even with perfect extension, he'd need a vertical leap of at least 38 inches, combined with split-second timing and absolute body control, just to make contact. That alone would put him in elite NBA territory. But he wasn't just jumping, he was kicking. A completely different beast requiring 5 simultaneous skills, each one difficult enough on its own: explosive upward force generation, perfect apex timing, mid-air balance maintenance, additional force through leg extension, and all of it from a standing start. Nobody trained for this. There was no precedent, no template, no coaching manual. This was Bruce creating a challenge that didn't exist and then spending 2 years systematically solving every piece of the puzzle. His preparation bordered on obsessive. Starting in 1966, he rebuilt his training philosophy around a single question: how do you make a human body generate enough upward force to defy its own limitations? Heavy squats came first, 250 on the bar, far more than most martial artists would touch. Not for show, but for foundation. The legs needed to handle extreme loads before they could generate extreme power. Then plyometrics, box jumps, depth jumps, explosive movements that taught his nervous system to fire every available muscle fiber simultaneously. This wasn't about building size. This was about building speed and power in the same package. Maximum force in minimum time. The kind of explosive capacity that would make his body feel weightless for a fraction of a second. But perhaps his most unconventional tool was the weighted vest. 40 pounds strapped to his frame during every jump session. Hundreds of jumps, thousands eventually. His body adapted to the extra load, his muscles and tendons strengthening under the constant overload. His nervous system learned to recruit more fibers, to fire them faster, to coordinate them better. Then he'd remove the weight, and suddenly his own body weight felt like nothing. Physics became his ally instead of his enemy. The flexibility training was equally extreme. Full splits were child's play. He pushed into oversplits, elevating one leg above the other, stretching his hip flexors and hamstrings beyond what most people would consider safe. This wasn't about looking impressive. This was mechanical necessity. At the exact moment of peak jump height, he needed to extend his leg fully without losing any elevation. Most people's hip flexibility prevents full extension during a jump. Bruce eliminated that limitation entirely. The morning of the demonstration arrived. Simple black training clothes, no shoes, barefoot gave him better ground contact, better proprioception, better power transfer. The witnesses assembled. Dan Inosanto was there, taking detailed notes, serving as the official recorder. Other martial artists filed in, their skepticism worn openly on their faces. A basketball scout happened to be present, invited by a friend, not particularly interested in martial arts, but deeply knowledgeable about vertical jump mechanics. Bruce stood in the center of the training floor, looking up at the ceiling, measuring with his eyes, calculating trajectories. This wasn't showmanship, this was engineering. Timing is everything, he explained to the group. At the exact moment of apex, when your upward momentum equals 0 for a fraction of a second, that's when the leg extends. Too early and you lose height. Too late and you're already falling. The window is maybe 1/10 of a second. The complexity settled over the room. This wasn't just about jumping high. This was a physics problem being solved with flesh and bone. He began his warm-up, light bouncing, activating the muscle chains, increasing blood flow. Then deeper stretches, full splits, executed casually, like most people might touch their toes. Then oversplits, elevating one leg, his flexibility so extreme it looked almost alien. Several witnesses exchanged glances. His range of motion was already beyond anything they'd seen. Practice jumps came next. No kicks yet, just calibration. 6 feet, easy. 6.5, comfortable. 7 feet, getting close. 7.5, his hand nearly brushing the ceiling. With each jump, you could see the machine warming up, systems coming online, everything synchronizing. Then he stopped. Complete stillness. Breathing deeply, centering himself. This was meditation merged with athleticism. The mind had to align with the body perfectly. Any doubt, any hesitation, any misfire in the mental command chain would doom the attempt. He positioned his feet shoulder-width apart, weight balanced, arms hanging loose. Tension is the enemy of explosion. He learned this through thousands of repetitions. To move fast, you start relaxed. Only at the moment of movement does everything tighten, energy releasing like a compressed spring finally let loose. One deep breath, a moment of absolute stillness, then explosion. His arms swung downwards first, building momentum. His knees bent, loading the springs. His hips dropped back, compressing every available power source in his lower body. Then, simultaneous release. Arms whipping upward, knees extending violently, hips thrusting forward and up, every muscle fiber firing in perfect coordination. He left the ground moving fast. 4 feet, 5, 6. The witness's eyes tracked upward, nobody breathing, everyone calculating whether this was actually possible. 7 feet, still rising. 7.5. Time seemed to dilate, physics playing out in slow motion. Then, at 7.8, at the exact moment of apex, his right leg shot upward, knee straightening, hip flexing, full extension. His foot accelerated as his body's upward momentum reached 0, those final 4 inches, the impossible inches covered by pure leg extension technique. Contact, clean, unmistakable, a solid thump as his foot connected with the ceiling tile. The tile shook. His foot planted firmly against it for a fraction of a second before gravity reclaimed him. The landing was perfect, both feet solid, no stumble, no wave, no sign of effort, like he just stepped off a curb instead of completing something that should have been biomechanically impossible. The room erupted, but Bruce wasn't done. Again, he said simply, 5 times, total, 5 perfect executions, 5 impossible achievements repeated until they became routine. Each time, same setup, same process, same result. The ceiling kicked clean at 8 feet from a standing position. Dan Inosanto measured and remeasured, documenting everything. Height, confirmed, 5'7". Standing reach, 7'3". Vertical jump with full kick extension, approximately 38 inches. Combined with his leg length and flexibility, it added up to 8 feet exactly. The math worked, but only barely, only with every variable optimized to perfection. The professional basketball scout approached afterwards, his professional skepticism shattered. He said, "I've measured hundreds of vertical leaps, every top NBA player. What you just did, maybe 3 or 4 of them could touch an 8-foot ceiling jumping with their hands, but kick it with a fully extended leg from standing? That's yours alone. I've never seen anything like it." Bruce's response was characteristically direct.